Eric, is there anyone from UC Merced who you're expecting that you'd like us to put in presenter mode?
No, and thank you, Mary Michael. But no, UC Merced would be in listen mode. We expect them to be on day 2, or if not day 3.
And what about other non-MCAG personnel? Who should we be looking out for?
Perfect, thank you. So Nick Balistreri.
Okay, we see him.
And then if there is a Caleb Moore, which I don't see Caleb just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so if you do see a Caleb Moore, that would be another. But how I have this is that I've got the PowerPoint. And so I will pull it up and cycle through for the presenters.
Okay.
So
well, we still just need to know so they can turn on their audio and camera and stuff appropriately. So
yes, Caleb Moore would be the only other individual that I'm waiting on. So as soon as he shows up.
All right, we'll look out for him. Thanks.
Sure. And
we see him, so we'll get him over.
And if you can allow me to share my screen.
All right, give us just a second.
Thank you.
Try now.
Perfect. Let me.
Joy, we see you. Give us just a second. Joy, you should be able to use your audio now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Director Serrato, we see you. Give us just a second to get you moved over. So just for purposes, I see several members, interested parties or members of the public online. You are in listen only mode. You have the opportunity to raise your hand to provide public comment, and there will be 2 portions of the agenda this afternoon where you will be recognized to speak in the public comment sections, and we will enable your audio at that time.
Okay, are we ready to go?
You tell me, I'm ready.
I appreciate that.
We'll just do, I'm not sure how many directors we're expecting. I see 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, and we knew that we were going to have some directors that were going to be unable to participate in this meeting, which is why we wanted to record this session for those that didn't have access to this site at this time. And then Mary Michael, Peter Brisney, I know that he is on the call. He is our construction manager at Risk firm, so he would be one as well to
We'll enable his audio and camera. Just 1 second.
Thanks for that. I saw his hand raised, and so I checked with Eric, making sure that's who I thought it was.
Thank you, Stacy.
I don't know if you saw my message, Eric, but that's what I was trying to.
I did. It came up as, so yes.
Hi, this is Peter Brinsley speaking.
Great.
Hello, Peter. We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Eric.
Perfect. So Peter is on the call from MozTech. So perfect. And Mary Michael, I would just, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm looking at the directors that we have on the line. I believe the only other person that I had confirmation that would be participating is Director Faria. I believe he said it would be by phone. So Mary Michael, if you see any phone numbers that aren't associated with a participant, Director Faria might be calling in.
Okay, we'll look out for that.
So Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
All right, well, welcome to the workshop for the Merced County Regional Waste Management Authority. I'll now call the meeting to order, and my clock is wrong, so I don't know what time it is.
I believe it's 3:04 p.m.
Let's call
Okay.
it 3:04.
3:04. Joy, if you'll please take roll.
Thank you. Director Aguilar. Director Kale.
Here.
Director Espinoza. Director Faria. Director McDaniel. Director Nagy. Director Pereira. Director Pedroso. Director Serrato.
Here.
Director Silvera.
Present.
And Chair Hoag.
Here. Okay, at this time, I'd like you to stand and we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand with me and follow along. Sorry, we're going to move this up here. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. Item number 2 is the approval of the agenda. Do we have, the directors have any comments about the agenda?
Madam Chair, it's Director
Chair.
Silvera, motion to approve.
I do not believe we have a quorum.
Oh, okay.
So that, Joy, that's correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? We have 4.
That
Here,
is
but I don't
correct.
have audio.
Oh, thank you.
So what is our count, Joy?
We are at 5 right now. It does not create a quorum.
Okay.
But the items
that-
on the agenda are information only, or workshop.
Right. So just the approval of agenda, that's not a, if there's any concern or any modifications, we can adjust, but there's no need for a
Stacy?
formal vote.
Correct.
Sorry,
Oh.
Stacy, I see Supervisor Pedroso has just joined, so we'll get him moved over and that should create a quorum.
Great.
Okay, I'm here. I didn't have any sound. Sorry.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'll shut myself.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you. For the record then, Director Faria for attendance is here,
Here.
and Director Pedroso.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum.
Okay, so Director Silvera had a motion to approve the agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Do we do a roll call?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So
And that'll be
Joy,
Joy. Mhm.
can you please take a roll call, Joy?
Director Kale,
Yes.
Director Faria,
Yes.
Director Pedroso,
Yes.
Director Serrato. I'm sorry, Director Serrato,
Yes.
Director Silvera,
Aye.
Director Hoag.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All righty. So we're going to move on to the next item, which is public comment. So public comment is now open for anyone to speak on matters that are not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, And Stacy, will you please provide information or instructions on how people can submit public comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. An abbreviation of those instructions are on your screen, but I will share that to be recognized to speak, please use your raise your hand feature in Zoom. This can be found on your smartphone, tablet, or computer. If you're calling in from your phone and not using Zoom to view the meeting, please press *9 to alert the moderator of your desire to speak. Individuals who wish to speak will be recognized in the order that they raise their hands and will be taken off mute by staff at the appropriate time. Comments submitted by email or voicemail in advance of the meeting will be read by staff after in-person comments are taken.
So Mary Michael, do you have anyone that has asked to comment?
I have not received any voicemails or emails, and I do not see any hands raised.
Do we have anyone who wishes to provide comment to the board today? Oops, there goes my dog.
I do not see any hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay. Should we wait a few minutes or do we want to move on?
I would recommend moving on, and we'll keep an eye on for hands raised in the event anything comes up and we have a second public comment section on item 5.
Okay. All right. So number 4 is we will go into the workshop portion of the agenda, and I will turn it over to Eric Seitz.
Excellent. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to bring my screen up right now. And so here we are. So I will not get through all of the items that we have in the staff report, but I do want to just reiterate that we are going to be today having a workshop for you. We're going to then have a workshop on February 18th, and then we will have a third workshop on March 18th should we need them. And each of our vendors have an idea of which day they'll be participating on because we've left some room for questions. So here's the overview of the length of this project, landfill gas to energy. I've given you in the staff report milestones and timelines. I've tried hard. This project's been on the books since 2016. I've worked to try to get you everything that if I were you, you would need. And so what we see is that we have the gas that will start up at the Highway 59 landfill will travel south on Highway 59 road. It will then hit the intersection of Highway 59 and Bellevue, and it will head east. As it travels east, it's then going to go to the intersection of Lake Road and Bellevue, and it will travel north on Lake Road. When it gets up in the north, it will then go to the UC Merced campus. Objectives of this project are many. Several that I'm going to highlight is the beneficial reuse of landfill gas. Right now, we have a flare that burns gas. We deal with airborne restrictions and requirements. This is a system which is going to reuse landfill gas and turn it into usable heat and energy. We are looking for this project to utilize the most feasible and cost-effective method of transporting landfill gas. We are looking to assist the university, UC Merced, in meeting its goals to reduce dependence on fossil fuels and become more sustainable and energy dependent. As well, we're looking to reduce the authority's long-term operational costs associated with landfill gas collection and disposal system generated. We've got a lot of money that's invested in the capturing of landfill gas, the regulatory compliance with landfill gas. So this is an effort to also assist us in our O&M. We're going to utilize, one of the objectives is to utilize cogeneration to produce both electricity and heat on site at the UC Merced campus. And lastly, objective is to provide a short and long-term employment for the residents, the local residents of Merced County. Summary of activities of where we've been and what's been accomplished. As I said in the beginning, we've been looking at this project since 2016. The board had initially directed staff in 2016 to develop a power purchase agreement with UC Merced. In 2017, the board approved a budget. And so in that budget, initial preliminary design work was established and initiated. And then in 2018, the executive director was given permission to execute an MOU for Highway 59 with UC Merced, and I'll talk a little bit about that MOU. And the same in 2018, we began our environmental work. So we began the work to, the board approved a contract with Ascent Environmental. We did preliminary environmental work, and we added an additional $300,000 to the budget for this project. In 2019, as we were getting closer to the conclusion of phase 1 and into phase 2, the board approved a financial services agreement with KNN, and also a public hearing was held for the initial study and the mitigated negative declaration. I will tell you that the public hearing was held. The CEQA documents were never finally adopted by this board, and so that would be something that would return to the board. And then in 2020, to begin work on the phase 1 value engineering, the board did approve a construction manager at risk, which is the CMAR, and MOSTEC Power, which Peter Brisney is here representing MOSTEC Power. They were the selected firm to do the work for phase 1. They are at risk because we know that if they don't complete, or the board does not give them authority to go to phase 2, then the project ends there. At the conclusion of 2020, at the end of November, the construction manager at risk, MOSTEC Power Inc., did submit their proposal for phase 2, and thus that is why we're here on the workshop. So things to recognize in our PPA is that, I'm sorry, not PPA, but the memorandum of understanding is that the authority in the MOU is required to manage the project. There's a 20-year term of an agreement that's spoken about in the MOU, but for the authority's responsibilities, they are to manage the project. The authority must also, goes without saying, provide the landfill gas for this energy plant. All of the energy credits are assigned from the authority to UC Merced. As you know, governments have a hard time, if not any opportunity to apply for most energy credits. All costs, capital costs, operation and maintenance costs are going to be subject to the authority. And then project ownership of the term of the agreement, the MOU talks about a 20-year term, is the authority. So the authority is the owner of the project. Now, UC Merced must comply. The MOU states they must cooperate fully with the project and its environmental measures. They will own all energy credits that come from this energy. They must grant the authority the right to use the university property for landfill gas to energy. And they must at present operate and continue to operate their existing energy, their heat source plants as they have been. They must continue to do so until this project is complete. They must comply with all CEQA. And then at the end of the term of the agreement, project ownership upon mutual agreement can be discussed. And so the MOU spells out these factors here. Now, part of the MOU states that the authority agrees to install 3 microturbines with heat recovery. The authority has the option and may install a 4th microturbine. UC Merced agrees to purchase from the authority 19,972,800 kilowatts per year at a rate of 14 cents per kilowatt for a 20-year term. In the MOU, it also states that if the university, UC Merced, agrees to purchase in excess of that amount, the 19,972,800 kilowatts, up to 26,630,400 kilowatts per year at a rate of 0.113 kilowatts for a 20-year term. So this is spelled out in the MOU. On the February 18th, we will make sure that you have a copy of that MOU at workshop 2. So next steps, we're going to go through these workshops. You're going to hear a lot of information. Please, at each of, when I come to my end, I'm going to have an opportunity for you to ask questions as MOSTEC and Tetra Tech come to their end. You'll have an opportunity for asking questions. What we envision is that Tetra Tech's going to speak after me. MOSTEC is going to speak after them. Our financial consultant, KNN, is going to give you a financial perspective for bonding capabilities at the end of that. And then UC Merced is going to speak after that. But we do have representatives here from some of the firms today. So what's going to, when we finally move from phase 1 to phase 2, what you what's going to be expected of the board to approve is you're going to have to adopt a final initial study with mitigated negative declaration. You're going to have to approve a power purchase agreement. You would have to approve phase 2, which is construction of the project, and thereby approve the contract with the construction manager at risk for phase 2. Just a reminder that our workshops, today's 1, Thursday, February 18th will be 2, and then Wednesday, if necessary, March 18th would be 3. Any questions before we move on to Tetra Tech? Okay, hearing none. We're going to move on to Tetra Tech. So Nick or Caleb, I'm going to change the slide. So you just let me know where to begin.
I unmuted myself for a second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. Actually, Paul Stout is in the meeting. He probably should be brought forward so we could see him on camera. He's another senior engineer. I apologize for his tardiness. He had another meeting he could not get out of. So,
Mr. Moore, this is Director Silvera. I can barely hear you. You're going to have to speak up a little bit.
I'm sorry. Let me adjust this real quick and see if I can get that.
While he's adjusting that, Mary Michael, can we add Paul Stout to the presenter list?
We moved to Paul, so hopefully that's the right person.
Excellent. Thank you.
Supervisor Silvera, can you hear me better now?
Little bit.
I'm going to change my microphone. It'll just take me one second.
When you step back like that, it seems to sound a lot better than when you were kind of leaning forward.
It could be my the microphone's right here. I'm sorry. I tried to twist it to get away from my head. Let me go to
Paul, while we're doing that, Paul, can we test your mic, or can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm right here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I heard something. I don't know if that was Paul or Caleb.
That was Caleb. So
yes, can hear you. Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, so we've got our first slide here. So in reality, Paul, you can jump in too. We kind of decided that we were going to both take the baton here. The first part of this is, and we can step back just a little bit. Eric kind of explained that to our part, we're an engineering firm. We're going to be helping put together the plans and specifications and helping with the permitting as part of this project to help act as kind of a technical agent for the Waste Authority. And so our job was to put together some conceptual plans at the early part of this to kind of catch everybody up and to help them onboard the CM at risk firm to help them better price it as the construction arm of it. Right now, what we've done as the consultant for the regional waste is we've gone through and reviewed the proposal put together by MCAG. It's their proposal. We looked at conservative values because we're only looking at a 5 or 10% design, but we looked at very conservative values in the initial stages of it. And right now, MCAG is saying that their pricing based on our design is less than our engineer's estimate. We initially put together a return on investment for the Association of Governments and for the Waste Authority. And with that, KNN is currently running the financials for it, and that'll be presented later. But obviously, with the price being less than ours, the financials still work and are showing a positive return and a comfortable buffer, I guess, so you will, a contingency. Our budgets are conservative in nature because not all portions of the design are ferreted out. We have reached out and made contact with all the approving agencies, Caltrans, the city, county, so on and so forth, to walk through what would be required of a project of this nature. And we have based our design and our estimates on the most conservative design that could be out there, including what the UCMR said. We've looked at a schedule. We prepared a schedule for the Waste Authority that was conservative in nature, but it looks like that's been verified because we have worked with the CM at risk firm before on another project we're very aware of the schedule, and that could impact the money for this. Cost containment measures, the biggest risk, the two biggest risks for this project, and they've both been addressed, were the pipeline itself, where that's going to be actually located, whether it's in pavement or on the dirt, and those drive big costs. Obviously, there are pretty obvious, straightforward reasons as to why they would be a higher cost in the pavement, traffic and pavement replacement and so on and so forth. The second would be with the size and the type of infrastructure that would have to be considered at the UC side. The type of building, fit and finish, and so on and so forth. And we've recently reached an agreement with UC Merced in concept on what that, on how to limit the risk for the cost of that structure. There really hasn't, MOSTEC has not addressed any of the incentives as part of this, and we're going to take a look at that on the next page. I'm actually going to pass the baton to either Paul or Nick to look at that next page, and they can kind of walk through that portion of it.
Hey, Nick, why don't you help me out with this? But we looked at several different potential incentives, had a discussion with the full team on it. And really, we've kind of focused on the SGIP program, self-generation incentive program. Have a chart here that kind of shows the potential benefits to the project. And again, we have not included this in the project as of yet. You know, with any incentive, potential incentive, it's kind of a chicken and an egg thing where we don't want to count it before we have gone through the various steps, completed an application, got confirmation that we're going to be able to meet all the requirements of the incentive to get it before we start to put it into the pro forma. So again, these numbers are not in any of the numbers we've been sharing. The next thing we've looked at is there's a pending rule within the air district to require the landfill to go to a low NOx flare to try to lower emissions in the Central Valley. One of the exemptions to that is if we are taking all of our gas and putting it towards a beneficial use project, we don't have to, what will be flaring will be much less. And in doing this project, we very well may be able to keep for many, many years until the landfill starts generating more gas, you know, sending it all to this beneficial use project and not having much going to the flare, that we will be able to avoid that incremental cost to put in a low NOx flare. There's a couple other items on here we looked at, but in talking to the group in KNN, that we feel that there's going to be some issues with perhaps, you know, the ones that require a taxing, somebody paying tax. We don't have that in this project as of now. To include somebody would impact some potential bonding that you might be able to get to fund the project. So those ones on the bottom are pretty a little bit more, have a little bit more cumbersome hurdles to overcome, where we're really kind of right now, I think, focusing on the top two. So I think that's kind of the quick summary on that.
Okay, and I appreciate that. Mary Michael, if you wouldn't mind, could you add also to presenters Lee Hicks, Jason Rizlov, and Shane Sato?
Sure.
Lee Hicks, Jason Rizlov, and Shane Sato. Thank you. Paul, thank you for that. So to the board, so this is some additional information that just came to us as of late. And so what we wanted to do was present this, this opportunity, because the benefits here with these incentive programs are going to be, you know, items that we've identified that there's a possibility that we could capture with this project. It's not guaranteed, but it is something that helps us. Paul or Nick, anything else to add on this?
Yeah, I don't think so, Eric. I think that's kind of it. And I mean, obviously we will pursue this in full earnest as we get into the project and we start to create the design elements that are necessary for completing the various applications and things of that nature.
Okay. Very good. Okay, questions from the board? Okay. We will continue on.
Eric, just 1 second. Sorry, this is Stacy. I think between Mary Michael and I will keep an eye out for hands raised. And I do see one from Supervisor Silvera, Director Silvera. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Stacy, Eric, everybody. So if you can put that last slide back up. I really think, I'm just going to put it out there. For me, the incentives are great, but I need to see that this deal is going to stand up by itself without the incentives. And I look at the incentives as just gravy, right? If we're going into it and we're barely going to make it if we land one or two of these incentives, then at that point, then I don't think it's a good project. That's just kind of my initial thoughts on that stuff. I do appreciate the work that went into looking at what kind of incentives are out there. But I want to get to, and I don't know if that's where we're going to end up today or if that's going to happen over the course of these next couple these workshops, is getting really to the nuts and bolts. When we say it comes in less, it's coming in, estimates, the cost estimates are coming in less than what they originally projected. That's really, to me, is I do appreciate the part of producing green energy and helping the college with all the things that they're trying to accomplish out there, being zero emissions and all those good words that they love to use. I'm all for that. But at the end of the day, we're putting up all the upfront costs. We're going to invest in all the infrastructure, and then we're going to make a commitment for 20 years of what we're going to sell power for. And I'm not looking to make pennies. I'm looking to make dollars. So that's where I kind of want to see us go. And I don't know, I'd love to hear if any of my colleagues have anything to add on that, but it just, the SGIP grant, great, up to $3.5 million. But if that's really is what's going to be the deal, the difference between us doing it and not doing it, probably thinking this is not such a great idea. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, Eric, yeah, I was just going to confirm that, and again, maybe I misspoke, but yeah, that is the way we are looking at it right now. We are not counting any of these incentives in the current project financials. So when KNN talks later about their pro forma, I don't believe they have accounted for either of these. And again, we're going with the gravy approach. If we eventually get these, it's gravy. But yeah, we're trying to look at the project as it stands right now and see if it stands on its own.
Madam Chair, Director Kale has his hand raised.
Yeah, I was going to say that I totally agree with what Scotty was, Director Silvera was saying. I stand behind that and was thinking the same exact things.
Okay, excellent. Appreciate that. What we will do is, and thank you, Director Silvera and Director Kale, for your comments. And Paul has hit it on the head. This was something that we wanted to share with you all, just so that you had known that we had identified every source of funding we could for this project. What you will see either by day 2 or day 3 is that when we do get into the nuts and bolts of how this is going to span out financially, you will see that this slide is not included in that it is something that stands on its own legs, but this is something to keep in mind because it is an energy green project. It makes it available for additional funding. So we wanted to share that. Great questions. Happy to answer any other questions that any of the directors might have.
Okay. Is there more, Eric? Any more
Yes, so we will continue on. We're going to try to maximize this hour, if that's okay, Madam Chair. And so let's continue. So MasTec Power. Peter, shall we turn this to you?
Yeah, Eric, thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you very much. Listen, on behalf of MasTech and all of us here, we'd like to thank you all very much for allowing us this time. Madam Chair, distinguished directors, members of the RWA. We're excited about this project, very excited to be part of this project team, and recognize it as being a true landmark project in both utilization of landfill gas and also being very helpful in the state goals for renewable portfolio standards. With that, what I'd like to do is utilize our time to talk a little bit about our team organizationally, and then like to shift the focus to some key project elements and attributes, as well as to talk about our pricing summary, and then to dive into a little bit on the project schedule. With that, let me begin by talking to you a little bit about our group. MasTech, which has been doing business for over 80 years, is headquartered in Coral Gables, Florida. We are a member of the New York Stock Exchange, listed as MTZ. Our revenues annually are in the order of $7.5 billion, 2020 that is. And we are a member of the Fortune 500. Actually, as of 2020, we were number 430 and have been working our way up over the years, and we're quite proud of that. Nationally, we have over 415 offices in 38 states. We have approximately 21,000 employees, and we are a certified minority-controlled business. And in the state of California, we have found that to be appealing when working with public agencies in the past. Next slide, Eric. Just a copy of the certificate there. It's not important to talk anymore on that, I think. Next slide. So the MasTech organizationally is actually structured. We are in the businesses of power generation. We are in the business of renewable generation, transmission and distribution, underground pipelines, and vertical construction. So we're a vertically integrated infrastructure company. Essentially, it is shown here in the organizational chart under the Clean Energy and Infrastructure Group. MasTech Power exists. We are the EPC contractor, which is the Engineering, Procurement, and Construction Group. Wanzek, our sister company, is in the construction, largely industrial and renewable generation, properly wind and solar. Casey Construction, or Casey Industrial, is also in the same businesses as we. Cash Construction is civil contractor. Lamartec Vertical Construction, and Condote America also a civil contractor. Just goes to show that we're a very deep bench and very much capable of delivering on projects very similar to this. Next slide. Next slide, Eric. One more slide, maybe. Great. So a company overview of MasTech Power. Again, the EPC group within our organization. We're headquartered in Denver, Colorado. We provide engineering, procurement, and construction services across the markets. We have a large range of clients in power generation and industrial market spaces. We are a wholly owned subsidiary of MasTech Inc. We have a bonding capacity of over $1.5 billion, which allows us to fully guarantee and wrap projects that we endeavor to get into that are up to $1.5 billion. So I think we're well within the confines of that in this particular instance. We have a current backlog of projects of a little bit over $800 million. In addition to this project that we're looking at, we have another very interesting project that is utilizing low carbon fuel standard fuel. It is essentially a sugarcane ethanol project, which is down in the Imperial Valley. We're quite excited about that as well. So our clients include regulated, unregulated utilities, as well as industrials. Common theme with all of our clients is they all require high reliability, certainty of power quality. We do have expertise in various types of power generation prime movers. We work in simple cycle, combined cycle projects, combustion turbines, reciprocating engines, CHP, or combined heat and power, as is contemplated on this project, along with landfill gas and biomass generation. So the project contemplated at Merced is a landfill gas to energy combined heat and power hybrid. So it actually is quite exciting to that extent. Eric, next slide. So we were very excited about the Merced RWA project for a number of reasons. One was that it was a very similar project to the one we just completed for the city of Burbank. The city of Burbank is a load serving entity, obviously a municipal utility in Southern California. They, as a load serving entity, had renewable portfolio generation requirements or thresholds that they must hit. Percentages of their book essentially have to become renewable. They are a sophisticated utility that owns generation, and we were very excited to work with them. We competed in a competitive bid process very similar to what we did here at Merced. We provided essentially a fully wrapped EPC project. When I say fully wrapped, we provided all of the performance guarantees associated with a project like this: heat rate, output, emissions, and schedule. Those are the things that we were able to provide the city of Burbank in this project. And the neat thing about it and why it's mentioned here is essentially the equipment and technology mimics exactly what is contemplated at the Merced RWA project. That is to say, the fuel pre-treatment and siloxane removal skid, as well as the prime movers of the microturbines, very similar and highly tested, reliable technology. So we're excited to have completed a similar project with another public agency, very similar to the Merced County Regional Waste Authority. Next slide, Eric. So this is the project org chart as we're structured currently. Obviously, Merced County Regional Waste Authority would be the owner of the ultimate generation asset. MasTec Power would be the engineering, procurement, and construction contractor. We essentially have all of the risk to make sure that the project performs, is constructed, and is turned over on time and on budget, on date certain. On the project, we have specialty contractors that is essentially the same team that we had in the city of Burbank. We have the muscle memory, so to speak, with one another, and we have done projects previously and will continue to do projects down the road. That is ACO. They will be doing the civil, mechanical, and electrical, and WA RASIC, which is very well known in the state of California, performing underground and pipeline work. So we're quite excited to have this team again on this project. Next slide. So Doug Lemons would normally be presenting on ACO. He's not available today, but I wanted to just talk quickly about them, our teammate. Next slide. So ACO is a very well-known California mechanical contractor. They have been in business since 1934. They are an employee-owned company. They are highly ranked in ENR, in contractor magazines, constantly considered one of the largest contractors in the state of California. Their footprint includes 34 offices, with one of their local offices in Fresno that we will be working with. They have been very much a part of MasTec Power's business as being a subcontractor to us in projects in the past, and we're very excited to have them on this one. Next slide. So I want to turn this over. Shane Sato from WA RASIC is on the phone, and he can talk a little bit about RASIC. And Shane, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Peter. Next slide, please. I'll just give a brief overview of our company, a little bit apart from the slide. WA RASIC Construction Company is a California corporation. We were founded in 1978 by Walter A. RASIC. His three sons still own and operate the company today. Our corporate office is located in Long Beach, California, and our equipment and material warehouse and main dispatch yard is in Bell Gardens, a short distance away. In the 42 years since its founding, WA RASIC has steadily grown, employing now over 500 skilled and dedicated individuals. We currently rank number 16 nationwide in utility construction by ENR magazine. The core business of WA RASIC Construction still remains underground utility construction to this day. That includes water, wastewater, storm drain, power, communication, gas, petroleum, of all pipe types and sizes. Basically, if it's underground, we can construct it. To support that work, the company also self-performs a wide range of ancillary work, including concrete structures, concrete and asphalt paving, structural steel, hydronic piping, mechanical piping, and other miscellaneous work types, structural steel, amongst others. We work in and construct sewage lift stations, water pump stations, wastewater and water treatment plants, and refineries. WA RASIC looks for continual improvement and challenges in our methods and type of work we perform. This past year, we began our first self-performed tunneling project with a $44 million, 4,000 lineal feet, 78-inch cased water line for LADWP. So we're looking forward to meeting that challenge. We've constructed work under a variety of different delivery methods, including traditional fixed price, cost plus, design build, and hybrid design assist. We work all over the state. Currently, we have a large project team and offices up in the Fresno area that we'll probably be operating out of if selected for this project. We're excited to be part of this team on this environmentally beneficial project alongside MasTec and ACO. We look forward to the success of this project, meeting the RWA's goals and its partner, University of Merced. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Shane. So on the next slide, what I'd like to do is point out some of the notable project elements. But before going into that slide, I just wanted to mention that there are several very important attributes of a project like this, and I wanted to just sort of touch on those. One of those is beneficial use of landfill gas. Another is minimization of the flare in accordance with RAF Rule 4311. Paul Stout had mentioned that, and that is clearly an important element of this project and one that it covers or checks the box on quite nicely. As far as renewable generation goes, much generation is considered intermittent. An example would be photovoltaic or solar or wind, intermittent to the extent that it's not really baseload capable or have capacity factors that are in line with what is required in firm and baseload power. This project is very different to that extent. This is actually a renewable generation project that is capable of providing baseload generation capability. So what that is unique to an extent in this RPS, or Renewable Portfolio Standard environment. Additive to that is this is a project that combines state-of-the-art thermal recovery and allows this to become effectively a combined heat and power project. So again, it really does make it a much more exciting project, I suspect, to all participants based on that, based on the descriptor. The item that I think is clearly important here, really two things. One is this, I think, project is very consistent with UC Merced's climate action plan. Being the host or the off-taker on this particular power generation, I think that would be very attractive. And I think the other thing that is notable is that the technology here that we're contemplating, again, is very much tried and tested. And we're quite excited about being able to build another project very similar to what was built in the city of Burbank successfully. So with that, the key project elements of this really are the landfill gas condition. The gas cleanup systems that have been contemplated in this project are very much proven technologies produced by Unison. One of the neat things about this too is that the owner's engineer, Tetra Tech, actually has patents associated with this technology. And not only are we comfortable with the technology, we're comfortable with the owner's engineer and Tetra Tech, but we're also very comfortable with the gas quality and quantity as represented to us to date, and that includes methane percentages. We have a very high level of confidence in, based on our history with Tetra Tech and with the Unison technologies. The pipeline. The underground element of this is quite a substantial portion of the project. 7 miles of underground pipeline from Highway 59 landfill all the way to the UC Merced campus. That is going to be essentially transporting the clean and conditioned fuel gas, landfill gas, to the microturbines that will be sited at the UC Merced campus. Sited at UC Merced, we have 4 Capstone C800S microturbines. very similar to what was utilized at the city of Burbank, a very well tested and a very known microturbine product, nominally 3.2 megawatts. There will also be a exhaust gas or exhaust gas recovery on this project, which is quite nice. And again, it does make this essentially a combined heat and power project that is capable of producing both energy and hot water and steam for the university. We've been talking on this from the beginning, our commitment to using full union labor on this project. This is a landmark project of sorts, and union labor will be something that we are very much committed to. We'll be signatory to both the IBEW as well as the UA. That was important to the Merced County Regional Waste Authority, and we are fully committed to utilizing union labor. Permitting is being led by Tetra Tech. Tetra Tech is working with the lead agencies, and to the extent needed, MasTech will support any of the permitting effort required. But I think Tetra Tech has it well in hand, and again, we are there to support the effort. Our contracting approach on this project has been pretty definitive from the beginning. We understand that the project economics are very important to the Merced Regional Waste Authority, as well as the directors, as we've heard. We looked at this contracting approach to be done in a lump sum turnkey or not to exceed pricing. We understand that the Merced County Regional Waste Authority wants to de-risk fully any of the priced elements, and for us to come in and say that this project will be delivered on time and on budget and not to exceed, we think is going to provide both the RWA and its directors a level of comfort, knowing that there's a certainty of process and certainty of outcome in this project that I think is so required and so important in any public authority. From a procurement standpoint, MasTech is quite large and has the ability to buy, use its size to procure at sometimes better pricing. We have not included opportunities to better the pricing on various elements of the project. In accordance with phase one, we've provided budgetary pricing, but we do believe there may be some elements to potentially even reduce further the cost of the turbines, et cetera, based on the fact that we have some buying power and we have bought in bulk. And therefore, we believe that savings we could generate as we go forward would be passed through to the RWA. Construction. So we did mention the City of Burbank project. We do believe that this team that we've assembled is somewhat unique to the extent that we have just completed a project together. That project utilizes identical technologies and similar gas conditions. Obviously, MasTech always seeks to take lessons learned from previous projects and to apply the benefit of those lessons learned to our next project. That is our commitment here with the MCRWA project as well. And again, we're very excited to be able to bring another similar project and have a great similar result. Schedule. We will complete this project on time and on budget. We will turn over to the MCRWA once completed on date certain. One of the other risks that we will mitigate for the MCRWA is schedule risk. When we pull together the final pricing, which will be done in a lump sum turnkey, and the final schedule, which will be having MasTech step up to a date certain for substantial completion and final completions. When we put that together, we will be able to, again, further de-risk any schedule elements of this project to the MCRWA. In the event that we did misschedule, we would be liable, we are quite certain, to liquidated damages. One worthy note is that MasTech Power has never had to pay a liquidated damage for failing to meet schedule. And I will further say that during this COVID environment, that has had impacts on schedules and projects. We have heard that in our business. MasTech, however, has several projects ongoing right now which, knock on wood, we have not been affected by COVID, nor have we missed any schedule or had to claim any or ask for any schedule relief. So again, I think we're very, very comfortable with all the key elements of this project, and our project team has the history of providing services to complete a project very similar, and most recently in the city of Burbank. Next slide.
And Peter, just a heads up, we are looking at about a little over 5 minutes left. For this workshop.
Sure. Eric, let me try to move through this quickly. Pricing summary. We mentioned this was part of the activities under phase one. I'll let Lee go through this real quickly. This is a pricing summary that, however, incorporated actual prices that we have seen on a similar project with material takeoffs as well. So we were very comfortable that this is a very accurate rendering of pricing at this point. Lee, do you want to go through that quickly?
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Yeah, so what we looked at, this project has really three elements as far as construction is concerned. One is at the landfill site, one is at the pipeline, and the third is at the campus. So we looked at the scope of the work at each of those three locations, and the work at the landfill is primarily driven by the equipment costs for the gas conditioning skid. So we got a specification from the engineer and went to the supplier to get current pricing and delivery from them based on the spec for the project. We feel pretty good about that number that's in there for that. WA RASIC also looked at a pretty detailed review of the pipeline routing, and we looked at, as Caleb mentioned, we either put it in the dirt on the shoulder or put it in the pavement on the highway. So we looked at the running it in the shoulder is the most cost-effective approach, but we do have an adder down below there, as you can see, if it ends up that we need to run down the highway with that. Also, we looked at the work at the campus, which is primarily the microturbine packages. There's a building, I guess you would call a building shell without a roof as part of this, and there is tie-in to the existing hot water facility on the campus. So based on work we've done in the past and similar other work, we took the pricing that we obtained for the turbines and for the gas conditioning skid. RASIC did a look at the pipeline installation cost, and then we looked at construction installation cost at each end of the pipeline. So that's how we developed our estimate here at this level of design for the project. So any questions on that?
Yeah, Lee, I think that was great. Maybe we should move to the schedule.
Sure. No, you know what? If we could, let's open it up for questions. Director Silveri, okay. Did you have a question?
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding that sheet right there. The 19 million, and then the two things on the bottom, the 690,000 and the 1.49 million. Those would be in addition to. Correct?
That is correct. If those scope options are selected, yes.
Okay, so then the total would be 21,913,000.
Yes.
In the event that those options were chosen or needed. But I believe the project, in accordance with the scope that we've been provided at 19.7, is in fact a price that is solid and something we can all work with.
Yeah, and some history in the past. Some of the past estimations that we had, that this was somewhere about a $25 million project for the various phases. And that was several years ago by an estimate. And so this seems to be less than or in line with just under that. I am looking, the time right now is 3:58. And so Peter, what I would suggest is we will leave it to the board to see if they want to go through scheduling. I don't know if we've got enough time to do that. I don't know how many slides we've got left. Madam Chair, what is the pleasure of the board for, we can stop here and leave the remainder for workshop 2 or continue to schedule?
You tell me, do you have any other questions? Are there any questions from the public that they would like to address the board? Mary Michael, do you see anybody?
Let me give everyone about 10 seconds to see if they want to raise their hand. Just as a reminder, they can raise their hand on the phone by pressing *9 or just click the raise your hand feature on Zoom.
And Madam Chair, this is Stacy. I mean, and thank you, Eric. I do appreciate, you know, everyone carving out their hour, and I try to hold to that on workshop settings. So it is not a problem for us. I mean, we anticipated and planned for multiple workshops, knowing that this was going to be an ongoing conversation. So, you know, putting the bookmark in at this point and picking up here in a couple of days at the board meeting, you know, we're prepared to do that. And that's not a problem.
Okay.
I do not see any hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Then do you want to go ahead and just put a bookmark into it? And we're going to meet back up on Thursday, February 18th, and we can continue with this discussion. Eric, what do you think?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, absolutely. We want to be respectful of your time. So absolutely, we're prepared to do that, as the executive director had said.
Okay, well, do I need to do a motion to adjourn or a motion to continue?
I defer to council, but I believe it can just be a motion to adjourn, and we'll pick up at the next workshop.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, well, with that, do we need to do a roll call, or do we just need to say, we'll see you next time?
I don't think anyone will object.
Okay.
No, I don't think a motion is technically required, so you can just adjourn.
Okay, well then let's adjourn, and we will see everyone next week on our regular scheduled board meeting on Thursday, February 18th at 3 o'clock on Zoom.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for the presenting. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay.